Hey everyone, it's Aaron with Caledonian Exotics. Today I'm going to show you a really cheap, efficient way to set up baby New Caledonian geckos. The way I prefer to set up New Caledonian geckos is I usually take a Sterilite 25 quart storage tote. This is one of my favorite storage totes to use, only because when you buy a steel wire rack, they fit perfectly across the entire rack. So you have plenty of storage just with the tote and the rack combined, and when you produce tons of these, storage space is a huge plus. The way that I set up these storage totes, I use paper towel as a substrate. So usually I take paper towels and I fold them just so it covers the entire bottom. If it folds up along the sides a little bit, no problem. I usually take my mister and I wet down the paper towels and just kind of push in the corners, and then it should stay like that. And then I use cork. So again, a couple nice pieces of like cork flat or tubes, and I always position them so they don't fall over easily. Last thing you want to do is have a piece of cork flip over and crush your baby gecko. So I usually try to wedge them in there so they're pretty secure, they're not going anywhere. And then when you take your plastic plants with suction cups, you can use them to kind of hold them in even tighter. So I just kind of press suction cup plants right up against the cork. It kind of forces the cork to stay where it is. And that's your basic setup, and it's just really that easy. Of course, my reptile room stays around maybe 76 up to 80 degrees at the hottest, which is your perfect temperature. And these Sterilite totes really hold in humidity well. Of course, after I set them up, I usually mist them down thoroughly. But as far as ventilation goes, I just take the lid it came with, I cut a big hole in the center, and then I silicone in nylon window screening. So I take the screening, I silicone it in, and I take Gorilla Tape and I just kind of put it over the silicone and the mesh, kind of make it look like I have a cleaner finish. The silicone itself does not look great, just smashing against mesh. And of course, this is pretty strong. Even adult geckos won't be able to push through this. It can't hold a 2-liter bottle, and it's definitely not keeping your cat out, but it's going to keep adult geckos in. You can use this for crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, leachieanus, toques. Toques do like a little bit warmer, so you do have to figure out the heat. I do have a toque in larger storage totes, but where they stay, it stays around 82, 84 degrees, which is their preferred temperature, or my preferred temperature to keep them in. Of course, after you have everything misted down, you put in a bottle cap of MRP. All I use is just the basic Rapashi crested gecko diet. I find it works for everything, even gargoyle geckos. I'm actually a fan that's only one flavor. All my geckos eat it. I don't have to worry about which one likes which brand and have to constantly switch around. I mist it down thoroughly. One of the positives with this setup is I only have to mist it down every 2, maybe 3 days. So even though right now everything's soaked, tomorrow evening, if I come back and check, there'll still be water droplets all behind the plants and on the plants. So they still have drinking water on the tote itself and on the plants. And then usually by day 3, everything's pretty dry, which is what you want. If you keep these storage totes soaking wet, like mist them down every day, you're just growing mold at a rapid rate. So your paper towels turn black, your cork bark grows mushrooms. You want to make sure you always let everything thoroughly dry before you mist it again. And of course, that doesn't have any negative effects on your gecko. It still stays humid enough for them to shed properly, for them to eat. And of course, they usually are fired up right after you mist and feed them. So your gecko stays a little prettier, for longer periods of time. And of course, the most important part of any gecko setup is the gecko itself. So this one hatched out maybe 6-7 weeks ago. It's not a newborn hatchling. I will put newborn hatchlings into this setup, even though it seems a little bit big for a newborn. They grow into it very quick. And of course, I always put the food right in the center, right next to the cork bark, so if they climb down, the food's in their face. I've never had problems with babies not eating with this kind of setup. Of course, I'll grow them up to maybe around 20 grams in these, and then I'll move them into, bigger totes till they're maybe 30, 40 grams. And either by then I decide I'm going to keep and breed them, or I'm going to sell them. Of course, I'm always working on my next generation. Of course, adult breeders, they all get their own 1818 by 24. All three of these tanks have breeding gargoyle geckos in them. Some of them are, the ones up here, maybe 3-4 years they've been breeding for me. I got my original pair downstairs, or my original colony that I've had for 6-7 years. So the totes work really well to raise them, but of course, adults, you do want a larger forever home. The tote is not a great home to keep a gargoyle in its entire life, unless you buy a massive, like 3-foot tall tote. Other than that, the glass tanks work great. I do have to mist them down every day. They dry out really fast. But other than that, they make better displays. These glass exoterras are more for you than they are for the animal. They work well, they're great visually, but at the end of the day, you want what's best for your animal. And totes really are one of the better ways to go. But there's nothing wrong with having, a pretty display. And real quick, I just wanted to thank you for watching another episode of CY Exotics. You can follow us on Facebook at Captive Yeti Exotics on Facebook. Any support helps. We do have a large variety of species of reptiles that we work with, and of course I'm planning on making more care videos. Next up, I think, is going to be the frog-eye geckos, because you don't see many care videos on those, and I've been successfully breeding them for 4 years, so watch out for that next episode. I actually might make it tonight. I have some free time. All I'm doing is just cleaning totes tonight. So, if you enjoyed this video, like, share, tell a friend, hit the bell icon. The more support we get, the further we can go with this channel. And once again, thank you.